Have you ever noticed how the world of finance seems to have one magic number that everyone keeps repeating? $2 million. They tell you that if you do not hit that seven-figure mark, you are effectively failing at your financial life. They say that if your account balance does not have at least 6 zeros, you are destined to spend your golden years in poverty. It is a heavy weight to carry, especially when you are looking at your own bank statements and wondering where it all went. But here is the truth that the glossy magazines and the expensive financial advisors do not want to talk about. The $2 million dream is exactly that for almost everyone in this country. It is a dream, not a reality. Today we are going to look at the cold, hard data from the Federal Reserve and the Social Security Administration. We are going to pull back the curtain on who actually has this money and what the rest of the country is really doing. Because if you have been feeling behind, or if you have been losing sleep over your 401k, I have some news that might actually help you breathe a sigh of relief. Quality of life in retirement is not just about the size of your pile of cash. It is about how you manage what you have. And more importantly, it is about understanding the difference between what is projected on a screen and what is actually available in your pocket. Let us start with the most shocking number you will hear today. According to the most recent analysis of Federal Reserve data, only 1.8% of American households have $2 million or more saved in actual retirement accounts. Let that sink in for a moment. 1.8%. That means in a room of 100 people, only 1 or 2 have actually hit the mark that every expert says is the baseline. The other 98 people are in the same boat as you. They are working, they are saving, and they are trying to figure out how to make ends meet. When we talk about retirement savings, we are talking about liquid assets. We are talking about money in your 401k, your IRA, and your tax-advantaged accounts. This does not include your house. This does not include the car in your driveway or the antiques in your attic. This is the money you can actually spend on groceries, electricity, and healthcare when you stop working. And the reality is that the vast majority of Americans are nowhere near that $2 million milestone. So why is there such a massive disconnect? Why do we feel like we are the only ones struggling when nearly everyone is in the same position? It is because the financial industry thrives on your fear. If they can make you feel like you do not have enough, they can sell you more products and charge you more fees. But as we stand here in early 26, the landscape of retirement is shifting faster than ever. We are hearing the constant drumbeat of news about the Social Security Trust Fund. The latest reports suggest that by 2035, the fund will no longer be able to pay full benefits. That is only 9 years away. For someone who is 55 or 60 today, that is not a distant problem for the next generation. That is a direct hit to your own retirement plan. The law currently says that if the trust fund is depleted, benefits must be cut by roughly 23% across the board. Imagine your monthly check suddenly shrinking by nearly a quarter. That is the fear that keeps people awake at night. But we need to look at the context. Social Security was never meant to be your entire retirement. It was designed to be a safety net, a supplement to what you had already built. The problem is that for half of all American households, it is the only foundation they have. The median retirement account balance for all households is only around $87,000. Even for those approaching the finish line, the people aged 65 to 74, the median is only about $200,000. $200,000 is a far cry from $2 million. But here is where it gets interesting. There is a huge difference between your net worth and your spendable income. You might be a millionaire on paper because your home value has skyrocketed over the last few years. Maybe you bought your house 20 years ago for $200,000, and now it is worth $900,000. That feels great when you look at a spreadsheet, but you cannot pay your healthcare premiums with a brick from your chimney. You cannot go to the grocery store and trade your kitchen cabinets for a gallon of milk unless you are willing to sell your home, downsize, or take out a reverse mortgage. That wealth is locked away. It is what we call a dry asset, and this is the trap that many Americans fall into. They pour every extra dollar into their mortgage, thinking they are building a retirement fund, but when they finally stop working, they are house rich and cash poor. They have a beautiful place to live, but they are struggling to keep the lights on. Contrast that with someone who has $500,000 in an S&P 500 index fund. That money is working for them 24 hours a day. It is compounding. It is throwing off dividends. It is liquid, meaning they can access it when they need it. In the last few years, the stock market has seen incredible growth. If you had $500,000 invested 3 years ago, that pile could be worth nearly $800,000 today, without you adding a single penny. That is the power of compounding that most people miss because they start too late, or they get scared and pull their money out during a market dip. The first $500,000 is always the hardest. It is like trying to start a fire in the rain. You are blowing on sparks and feeding it tiny twigs, and it feels like nothing is happening. But once that fire catches, it starts to generate its own heat. A $1 million portfolio can double to $2 million in just 7 or 8 years without any extra contributions. That is why the second million comes so much faster than the first. But since 98% of people never even get to the first million, they never see the magic happen. So what does this mean for you, right here and now? It means you need to stop comparing yourself to the top 1%. If you have $200,000 saved and your home is paid off, you are actually doing better than the average American. You have options. The goal is not to hit a specific number that a talking head on television told you to hit. The goal is to align your expenses with your guaranteed income. Let us look at the 4% rule. If you have $500,000, you can safely withdraw $20,000 a year, adjusted for inflation. If you add that to an average Social Security benefit of $24,000, you are looking at $44,000 a year for a single person. If you are a married couple, that number could easily jump to nearly $70,000. Is that a life of luxury? No. But if your house is paid off and you do not have a car payment, $70,000 goes a long way. It covers the basics, it covers healthcare, and it leaves a little bit for travel and family. The secret that the 1.8% know is that discipline and time are more powerful than a high salary. They did not get to $2 million by being lucky. They got there by living below their means for 30 years. They did not buy the newest truck every 3 years. They did not upgrade to a bigger house every time they got a raise. They stayed the course. But for the rest of us, we have to deal with the reality of where we are today. If you are behind, the worst thing you can do is give up. You still have time to make meaningful changes. Even in your 50s and 60s, every dollar you save is a dollar that can compound. The catch-up contributions for 401s and IRAs are there for a reason. In 2026, those limits have increased again to help you close the gap. But you also have to be smart about your spending. We live in a world of lifestyle inflation. Everything is designed to take a small bite out of your paycheck. The streaming services, the dining out, the high-end clothing. It all adds up to a mountain of missed opportunities for your future. If you can find a way to live on 80% of what you earn, you are already ahead of the curve. Another critical factor is your health. The average retired couple will spend nearly $300,000 on healthcare over the course of their retirement. That is a staggering number, but you can mitigate that by taking care of yourself now. An investment in your physical health is just as important as an investment in your brokerage account. The less you spend on doctors and medication, the more you have for the things you actually enjoy. And let us talk about the Social Security crisis again. Do not let the headlines paralyze you. Even if the trust fund runs out in 2035, the system will still be collecting payroll taxes. It will still be able to pay out the majority of benefits. It is not going to zero. The government will likely find a way to patch the hole, whether that is by raising the retirement age or increasing the cap on taxable earnings. They have to, because the alternative is a social collapse that no politician wants to be responsible for. So your plan should be to use Social Security as a base, but not the whole building. You need to build your own walls and your own roof. How do you do that? By focusing on cash flow. Maybe that means working an extra 2 years to let your portfolio grow. Maybe that means moving to a state with lower taxes and a lower cost of living. Maybe that means turning a hobby into a small part-time business that brings in an extra $1,000 a month. In the digital world of 2026, there are more ways to make money from home than ever before. That extra income can be the difference between struggling and thriving. The most important thing I want you to take away today is that your value is not defined by a balance sheet. You have worked hard, you have raised families, and you have contributed to your community. Do not let the fear of a number steal your peace of mind. Understand the data, know where you stand, and make a plan based on reality, not on the hype of the financial media. If you can get your housing costs under control and keep your investments in the market, you will be okay. You do not need $2 million to have a meaningful and happy retirement. You need a strategy that fits your life. So take a breath, look at your numbers again, and remember that 98% of the people you see every day are right there with you. We are all navigating this changing world together. Focus on what you can control. Control your spending, control your mindset, and let time do the rest. If you found this information helpful, please share it with someone who might be feeling the pressure of retirement. We need to start having more honest conversations about money in this country. We need to move past the myths and start looking at the facts. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Take care of yourselves and keep moving forward. I will see you in the next one.